Here's what's coming up on Network Africa. After a 2-year probe, South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa cleared in $580,000 couch cash case. Egypt denies striking Sudan militia, says it is only concerned with ending the war and protecting civilians. Plus, Haiti's Prime Minister Gary Conille visits Kenya, asks international community to redeem pledges of support to end violence in the Caribbean island. Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. It's good news for South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa, who won't be facing criminal charges over a hidden cash scandal that was revealed more than 2 years ago. The famous couch cash case led to an investigation by a special police unit. A former national security chief had laid a criminal complaint against the president in June of 2022, accusing him of kidnapping, bribery, and other crimes in relation to the theft of $580,000 in US banknotes that was stashed in a couch at the president's ranch. Now, the former security boss, Arthur Fraser, alleged that he had been keeping the cash hidden in furniture at his farm to evade South Africa's foreign currency laws when it was stolen. He survived the scandal and was re-elected as South Africa's leader this June, while the criminal investigation continued. Mr. Ramaphosa, who was also accused of money laundering, tax evasion, and breaching foreign currency laws over the cash. He denied wrongdoing and said the cash came from the legitimate sale of buffaloes at his Fala game farm. In other news in South Africa, the president has welcomed the reforms to South Africa's visa regime, saying they are a key step towards attracting international skills and investments, growing tourism, and creating jobs. The Minister of Home Affairs, Dr. Leon Schreiber, gazetted the reforms, which aimed at making it easier for South African companies to hire skilled foreign workers. A spokesperson to President Cyril Ramaphosa, Vincent Magwenya, explains. Well, moving on, and from that story, Egypt is denying taking sides in the war in Sudan, saying its only focus is to end the war and protect civilians. Now, in a recorded statement on Wednesday, the head of the Rapid Support Forces, Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo, alias Hemeti, claimed that Egyptian warplanes and drones in the Jabal Moya mountain range had opened fire on his troops. He credits Sukhoi 29 fighter jets, which he says belong to Egypt, for bombarding RSF positions, allowing the Sudanese army to retake the area. It is not the first time Hemeti, who himself is accused of receiving Emirati weapons, is citing Cairo's involvement in the war in Sudan. And to South Sudan, and in his first briefing since the leaders announced an extension of the ongoing transitional period, the UN Special Representative for South Sudan, Nicholas Haysom, is saying the extra time must count. The extension has moved South Sudan's bid to hold its first ever democratic elections back by 2 years to December 2026. The UN is prioritizing support in achieving concrete outcomes by working with political parties at national and state levels to raise awareness on what is required from them to hold elections.
Your own code of conduct. As the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has said, the only way forward is for South Sudan's leaders to find the compromises and modes of implementation of a critical mass of the key political and operational benchmarks set out in the Araucus. They must make this latest extension count if they are to retain the trust and confidence of the people. And let's be clear, from our perspective, the clock is ticking right now. These questions examine foundational matters such as the nature and kind of elections that the country wants to hold, electoral participation by refugees and internally displaced persons, issues related to proportional representation, which means that subgroups of the larger electorate are reflected comparably, so that all votes truly cast reflect the will of the people. Let me give you an example. A positive outcome from the political forum in Bo was an agreement between civil society and the national security apparatus and its representatives to sit together and understand each other's perspectives. Such local collaborations are a linchpin of a united South Sudanese society.
We are going to give ourselves ground rules.
In more South Sudan news, state high election committees from all 10 states of South Sudan are gathered in Juba, the capital, for an induction workshop which will go on until October the 11th. Now, the workshop, which was organized by the National Elections Committee with support from the United Nations, is designed to introduce key foundational concepts and principles of effective electoral management to conduct credible and inclusive elections that reflect the will of the people. This has allowed more times for all technical bodies under the NEC or NEC to be properly trained and funded. The Integrated Electoral Assistance Team, IEAT, is spearheading the training of the country's election officials and governing bodies.
Both at the national level and at each of the 10 state levels with the Elections Commission and the state high election committees in their important role on planning and organizing the electoral process. Now that there is a 2-year extension with elections envisioned for December 2026, the work has to start now to get to voter registration in 2025 and then prepare for the elections in 2026.
You are here to acquire knowledge. You are here to gain knowledge in election processes. And to get this, there are people already prepared who will train you, who will depart knowledge to you. So it is your turn to receive the knowledge. It is your turn to receive the knowledge because nothing can be done without preparation.
2 years extension is not a long time, it's a very short time. So it is the right time now for all the members of our electoral committee to be given all the necessary skills so that when time of election comes, they will be able now to handle elections with full skills of election. So this workshop facilitated by the UNIMIS is a very good contribution to the success of the general election.
Haiti's Prime Minister Gary Conille is in Kenya to see President William Ruto. At the press conference in Nairobi, both leaders asked the international community to make their pledges good in order to help Haiti win the war against the armed gangs in that country. Now, Kenya already has nearly 400 police deployed in Haiti and is expected to send an additional 600 as part of the Multinational Security Support MSS mission. At least 10 countries have promised to send approximately 2,900 troops to participate in the Kenyan-led Multinational Security Unit, but only about 430 have deployed. Heavily armed gangs have been terrorizing Haiti and control most of the capital, Port-au-Prince. Now, last week, members of the Grand Griffe gang carried out one of the country's deadliest attacks in recent years, killing at least 115 people in a farming region.
To match their commitment, their pledges, with the necessary action for us to be able to complete the task ahead of us. Kenya and Haiti, therefore, stand united in calling on the international community to urgently rally behind this mission in terms of being able to support our officers on the ground, including those who are joining next month. We have resources to make sure that
the first deployments of Kenyan contingents in Haiti have been extremely helpful, useful, professional, committed. They've engaged almost immediately, side by side with the police force.
Now, in spite of objections from DRC's opposition, the country has made it to a seat on the Human Rights Council. The objection which the Human Rights Watch and Congolese civil society also put forward are based on political repression, arbitrary detentions and killings. However, there was virtually no opposition to Kinshasa's election at the assembly. It garnered 172 out of 190 votes. 14 other countries, including Benin, Gambia, Kenya, and Ethiopia, were also elected. Now, these 5 countries will serve a 3-year term starting on January the 1st, 2025. Congo's Minister for Human Rights says the country would use the position on the symbolic but highly prestigious body to improve its rights situation. The UN Human Rights Council, established in 2006, has a job to protect and promote human rights around the world while addressing violations. A United Nations top official in Libya, Stephanie Corrie, has highlighted the progress and challenges in the region. She also addressed the ongoing effects of armed conflict in Libya, including civilian casualties from unexploded ordnance. The influx of refugees from Sudan since the war began in 2023 has added a strain on Libya's resources. Ambassador Yamazaki Kazuyuki of Japan provided updates on the sanctions imposed on Libya, specifically addressing the arms embargo and asset freeze.
Deputy Governor took office following consultations by the High Council of State and endorsement by the House of Representatives. UNSMIL welcomed this outcome, which was followed on 3rd October by the National Oil Corporation announcing the lifting of the force majeure, thereby enabling the full resumption of oil operations and exports. The effects of armed conflict continue to be felt by ordinary Libyans today. In August and September alone, incidents of unexploded ordnances resulted in 13 fatalities, including 2 children. Turning to the ceasefire agreement on 25th August, I met the 5+5 Joint Military Commission in CERT. I urged the Joint Military Commission to continue advancing its mandate and for Libyan authorities to overcome obstacles hindering full implementation of the ceasefire agreement. A security working group meeting in CERT, due to take place later this month, presents an opportunity to refocus efforts on the security track. Since the start of the Sudan crisis in 2023, an estimated 98,000 Sudanese refugees have arrived in Libya. The humanitarian protection conditions faced by migrants and refugees in the country continues to be of concern.
Africa's startup ecosystem has rapidly become a vibrant hub of innovation, powered by a new generation of entrepreneurs solving critical challenges. Now, with better access to tech and a growing pool of investment, these startups are not only addressing local needs, but are also positioning themselves for global impact. However, scaling these innovations beyond the continent presents unique challenges. This is where platforms like Moonshot by Tech Cabal come into play, bringing together key stakeholders to discuss strategies for building world-class ventures and ensuring Africa's contribution to the global tech landscape.
The second annual Moonshot by Tech Cabal conference kicks off with a mix of entrepreneurs, investors, regulators, and tech enthusiasts. With the theme, Building for the World, the conference aims to explore how African startups are tackling the complexities of global expansion.
We have to go further afield. While the continent has been the foundation of our innovation and of our entrepreneurial spirit, the challenges that we face here have made it clear that we must truly build for the world. Our mindset has to be totally global. So when we think globally, we can transcend the limitations of our local markets. We can access larger markets. We can have more consistent infrastructure. We can find exits at global multiples over the next decade and beyond on the continent.
The spotlight then shifts to a fireside chat with the Minister of Communication, Innovation and Digital Economy, Dr. Bosun Tijani. The conversation centers around how the minister's digital transformation agenda is linked to economic growth, as well as his intentions with Nigeria's AI strategy.
The reality is that for Africa, historically, we've battled with what we refer to in economics as wicked problems. These are problems that the solution to them and the requirement for solving them, they're constantly evolving. So when we talk about AI, you need to understand the entire ecosystem of artificial intelligence to truly say whether Nigeria should participate or not. Because AI is not going to be where we need it to be if certain part of the world's context is not digitized. If everything we know about Africa is not digitized, AI is not going to be where it needs to be.
After the chat, the public policy manager for Anglophone West Africa at Meta sparks a conversation around open and responsible innovation.
In order to achieve that objective of increasing development, enhancing development, you have to do this immersive and innovative technology in an open way. And what do I mean by that? That means that you don't have just a select few that are developing technology and then other people do not have access to it.
African data initiatives.
Attention later turns to a panel session on the battle for representation and the significance of Africa controlling its own data to shape global AI platforms.
I think where we are doing things right is in terms of capturing information around like the fintech space. So, our financial history and having a good understanding of where what is at what time and in real time. Having said that, we need to be very secure with the data, and we need to be able to have or allow every single user to be in control of that data.
If there's any time where our continent or Africa is better positioned to be in cutting-edge learning at the same level as anyone anywhere in the world, is this time. But the second layer is that you need the right level of encouragement and motivation to learn.
As day one of the event wraps up, the discussions on digital transformation, AI and innovation leave attendees with meaningful perspectives into the future of Africa's tech ecosystem, especially as the continent continues to position itself as a global tech leader.
You're watching Network Africa. Still ahead on the program. Solo bike rider Joy Ebaide to embark on second leg of trip around the continent. Details in a moment. Please stay with us. Welcome back. It's the International Day of the Girl Child. Today, 1 in 5 young women between the ages of 20 and 24 years were married as children, while globally, 75% of new HIV infections among adolescents occur in girls. That's according to the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF's Chief of Field Office for Southwest Nigeria, Celine Lafoucrère. Now, she was speaking in her remarks to observe the day, which is a key global moment to celebrate girls everywhere, amplifying their voices, actions, and leadership. And speaking of courage and vision, Joy Ebaide is a young woman who is pushing limits in her own way. Now, the first woman to bike solo from East to West Africa, Joy is also an Afrobeat singer from Ubiaja in Isan East local government area of Edo State. She started her journey in Mombasa and traveled through Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, Tanzania, and Zambia, as well as other countries. She completed that journey in Nigeria after covering 11,000 kilometers of road in 3 months. She encountered visa restrictions, bad roads, and animal attacks on the way, but was not deterred. Joy is preparing to embark on a second trip from Lagos to the North African country of Morocco. And she's right here in our studio. Joy Ebaide, indeed,
Hello.
You're welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Network Africa.
Thank
Great
you
to
so
have
much. Thank you.
All right, so let's get into the thick of it. You were here some 3 months ago with us. What have you been up to since then?
Okay, since the last time I came here 3 months ago, I've been preparing for this trip. So the first trip I did, Kenya to Nigeria, I had about a year to prepare, so that was okay. That was easy-ish.
A year?
About a year. I'd already had the plan. I'd conceived the plan a year ago, and I'd already started the mental preparation before starting the physical preparations. But for this one, it's different. It's different because I got back to Nigeria on the 30th of June this year. July had me resting because I'd just done a formidable trip. August had me going from one place to another, courtesy visits and stuff, traveling. Then I literally had September to fully prepare. So I'm not expecting this to be 100 smooth because even the one I prepared for a year wasn't so smooth. But that's what I've been up to, and I am looking forward to starting the trip.
So when do you plan to start this trip, to Morocco?
I'm actually supposed to start very early tomorrow.
Oh, very early tomorrow?
Yes, I'm leaving by 6 a.m.
So you have supporters, I'm sure, Joy, and how does that make you feel, embarking on this next chapter?
I feel good. I feel great. I'm scared. I'm scared. I can't lie about that because I feel like there's this voice I can't shut in my head. And it's so persistent. It's telling me, what if you were only lucky the first time? But I know I am a very careful person. I'm a very responsible person. That's what I have confidence in. So yeah, I am looking forward to it, and I am ready to embark on it. Not knowing what would happen, but I'm ready.
Of course, in your first trip, you did encounter some challenges, as we did understand, and perhaps different conditions. How are you going to be prepared for some of these new challenges that might come up?
Okay,
psychologically, emotionally, perhaps even spiritually.
Yeah, financially.
Financially.
Yeah. Okay, so the first trip, Kenya to Nigeria, my main challenge wasn't even the snake attack. It was getting visa, because I had to get visa independently for every country. Unlike in Europe, where you get one visa for all, here in Africa, we are craving a borderless Africa, but we are still with borders. So thankfully, for this trip, I don't have visa challenges. I think I only need visa in Morocco and Mauritania, but the Mauritanian visa is not supposed to be so hard because they're out of the ECOWAS now. So that's what I have foreseen and I've already overcome. But other things like road challenges, health, mental, I guess I will have to experience this to know. But the good thing is I know the kind of spirit I have. I know it doesn't matter what challenge comes. I've been through so many things in life that I know that I will overcome anything. So anything that comes, any challenge, road, anything, I'll be okay.
Now, looking at some of the pictures there, of course, the recordings, and I just wonder, how do you get to have these amazing recordings of yourself as you move along? Okay,
so I do have a camera 360. For Instagram, I mostly use my camera 360. For YouTube, I use my GoPro and 360, and I have a drone. I have a whole kit. Actually, what I pack on my bike, most of them are my equipment. I pack like 2 tops and 1 trouser. They are mostly my equipment. So yeah, I have enough equipment to document my trip.
Interesting. And from what I'm seeing there, getting stopped and perhaps you have to you have to get through some checkpoints and what have you. But of course, it really looks an interesting experience. I wonder what people, when you pass by with all the recordings and everything, what do you, what do they say? What do they?
I look gangster. Look at me now. Don't I look all that? I look all that, especially in the body I'm in, my gender, I mean. It fascinates people. People are like, what is wrong with you? How did you come up with this idea? So I've gotten favor from everybody, like literally. I had one bad experience and I traveled for 3.5 months. So if I say I have just one bad experience, that was a great trip. So yeah, people favored me everywhere. People loved the idea. People loved everything. I had a great time with people.
So what did you really learn from that first trip that you embarked on in Kenya that might perhaps prepare you for this trip to Morocco? Because I know going to Morocco, the terrain, it's a very challenging one indeed.
Yeah, it will be totally different from what I've experienced. The West African roads. I already plied that route before, back in 2018, bus, going through West Africa. So I have an idea of what it's like. I am prepared, but I don't think I'm very prepared.
Well, why do you say that?
Because I say that because even the things I was prepared for, like most of my plans for the previous trip, I didn't go with them because everything changed. So my plans came from locals in places. So I know I'm planning for it, but I can't be fully prepared because the road is what would bring to me what it wants to bring to me, right? That's the most I can do, just to be as prepared as I can and then see what comes, see what I can overcome. But what I've learned, the first thing I've learned is, of everything that happened to me, I've learned my slogan now, impossible is nothing. It is something I've always heard, but now it is true for me. Impossible is nothing. The visas I was declined. Oh, come on. Impossible is nothing. Anything you haven't achieved is because there is no deadline or you have not set your mind to it. In this earth we are, everything is possible.
Everything is possible indeed, and I like that sense of optimism from you. Now, today is the International Day of the Girl Child Joy. What would you like to say to girls, who are perhaps watching you and hoping to make a difference in the world, just like you?
Okay, so what I would say to girls is that we are the overlooked gender, which is generally known. We are the ones that are not considered people who can do formidable and extraordinary things. And then when we do formidable and extraordinary things, people tie it to, oh, but you are a woman. How are you doing this? You are a woman. It doesn't matter what body you come in, the kind of person you are. If you have the will to do something, you can absolutely achieve it. Just put your mind to it and do it. Don't wait for anybody. The truth is, you are the only one who can save yourself. It doesn't matter who you have, who you think you have. if your dream is big, you are the only one who can truly achieve it. You can have a support system, but if you don't have the will to truly achieve it, if you are too scared to achieve it, you would go nowhere. So fear is nothing. Just go for it.
I like that. Interesting. Now, who are the other bikers moving with you to this trip? I mean, for this trip into Morocco? Or are you just going?
I'm going alone.
Just you alone?
I will meet bikers because the biking community is a love-filled community. Even if you want to be on your own, you will meet bikers. Yes, I'll meet bikers on the way. Say connect. Like when I get to Abuja, I'll meet Abuja bikers. When I get to Kano, I would. But commuting to those places would be solo. It would be a solo trip where I'll meet people.
Okay.
To be better put, yes.
And for other logistic supports and what have you, there's other people you're sure to get
information, stuff like that. I have many overlanders who are my friend. So I'm traveling solo, but it's not 100% solo because I get information from literally everybody. The small child on the streets, if I could talk to animals, I would ask them for information.
I would certainly wish you well. We'll definitely be following you and interested to see your updates. So thanks so much for coming on the show, Joy Abide.
Thank you.
Good luck to you.
Thank you so much.
And with that, we draw the curtain on the program Network Africa. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Ayotunde Balogun.